You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
Here today with Fiona Stevens, the head of marketing at LoyaltyLion. LoyaltyLion is a really cool app that I know of as it plugs into Shopify, although there may be more things that it could do. So the first thing I want to find out is the origin story for LoyaltyLion so that we can all understand how it was invented.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you very much for having me today. The origin story for LoyaltyLion. So right back in 2012, our co-founders, Charlie and Dave, were trying to find a business idea where they could really make a big impact on the world. And they talked to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and they found that there was one key challenge that was standing out over and over again. And that challenge was businesses were struggling to find and engage and retain their customers online. And that challenge was one that was clearly going to get a lot worse as more and more brands moved into e-commerce and Amazon continued to dominate the space as well. But most importantly, what they found was brands weren't just struggling to retain their customers online, they were actually struggling to find the tools and the time and the expertise to focus on a retention strategy at all. So really, that's where Charlie and Dave decided to focus and decided to help. They wanted to make sure that brands could build relationships with customers and really deliver the kinds of shopping experiences that would make people return and repeat purchase again and again. And really, that's the origin of LoyaltyLion. We really exist to help e-commerce businesses create loyalty programs that can drive sustainable growth via your existing customer base. And we want to help create the kinds of relationships that will stand the test of time. They'll survive pandemics, fulfillment delays, cost of living crises, all the other things being thrown at e-commerce merchants at the moment. Privacy update, the coming cookie apocalypse, all those things. We exist to help with customer relationships that will stand the test of everything.
So, of course, many people will probably immediately assume that it's really just a clone of an airline loyalty miles program. But it seemed like you rewarded a lot of behaviors that went beyond purchase, or at least there was the opportunity to structure things within the platform to reward a lot more than that. Did it start out purely as a purchase loyalty program, and then the other things were layered on top of it?
Yeah, we've definitely seen some evolution over time. So yes, we would have started out really basic, out of the box rewards, discount vouchers, money off rewards, those kinds of things. But we've seen a lot of evolution in that space, really interesting things happening along the way with rewards now. And actually, I have to say, don't get me started on supermarket or airline loyalty programs, because I really think we're undoing a lot of the bad things that those programs have instilled in consumers along the way.
Right. When structuring, it seemed like, again, you give a lot of power to the merchant and how they structure their loyalty program. So what are the most influential rewards that motivate customers?
Absolutely. As much as I'd love to say that discounts aren't part of the mix, I think that will never be the case. Those kind of offer-led incentives are always going to be an important element in a loyalty program. And I'm talking things like percentage discounts, free shipping, any of those financial incentives. But we're seeing some really great advancements, and more brands are opting to use experiential rewards instead. And by that, I mean things like early access to sales, online styling sessions, exclusive access to content, perhaps the ability to contribute to a product focus group. More and more brands are trying to offer those kind of experiences, and shoppers are really positively responding to it. And the great thing for a brand is that obviously it protects your profit margins as well. You're not relying just on discounts, but they help with building the longer term relationship as well. And I think the other really key advancement I'm very excited about is brands are starting to bring out their values and their beliefs as a brand into their rewards as well. So starting to use charitable earning or reward opportunities to motivate customers too. So, for example, we've got stores who are awarding points to people who take positive actions like recycling their packaging, or on the flip side, stores who are giving customers the opportunity to redeem their rewards in the form of donations to charity, trees planted, etc., So people are really starting to use their rewards to show customers that they share the same values and to communicate their brand values, which is really, I think, quite fundamental to building longer term loyalty.
I really love the idea of experiential rewards and the idea that those burnish the brand and retain margin. Are there any particular examples you can share, perhaps anonymizing the merchant if you have to, but what, cases where you were surprised at the experience and how the experience resonated with the customers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was actually during the pandemic that we saw some of these things really come to life. So we had an underwear brand who they in the store they would do bra fitting sessions and things like that. And obviously during COVID and lockdown, they weren't able to do that. So they were able to take that offering online and do virtual fittings to their most loyal customers. And I think it's just one example of those kind of experiences that perhaps you wouldn't expect to see online, but really there's no reason why we shouldn't be delivering them. It's 2022. We should be able to do those things online now. Early access to sales is definitely one we see happening a lot. And we're also seeing, I think, shipping and returns has been really high on the agenda lately. And a good few brands that we work with are starting to include those free returns for their most loyal customers as part of that experience as well.
Interesting. I would imagine a lot of my merchant clients are enticed by this idea that they can use their existing customer base to get additional customers. And obviously a points infrastructure could support that pretty effectively. So if a merchant would like to focus heavily on friend referrals, what are the best ways to communicate that to customers? Are there any best practices around getting that to work?
Yeah, I think that referral piece, that advocacy piece is absolutely one of the best outputs that a loyalty program can drive. And in terms of best practice and how to communicate it, I think the answer really depends on your customer base, the demographic that you're working with, and where you're most likely to reach them with a message. So if your customers tend to engage best with email, then email prompts are going to be the answer for referrals, vice versa with SMS, social media, etc. We actually see that on-site referral prompt notifications work really well because customers can see the points they earn right there in real time and actually equate that with perhaps points that they can put towards the next purchase, and they're in purchase mode at that time as well. But I think, the key thing is to make referrals as easy as possible for people. The more seamless the process is, the more likely they are to complete it. And the more they'll understand what value they get in exchange for making a referral as well. So, whether you're giving both the referrer and the referee, the person being referred, a discount or whatever it might be, make it really clear so that the value stands out and they can see exactly what they're getting for making that referral. But I think the timing is really important as well. So we're about to release some research around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and we've seen that 78% of consumers, I think it is, said they would make a referral if they had a good Black Friday experience. But over 30% want to do it the day of their Black Friday purchase. And I think it's another 30-something want to do it within 1 to 3 days. And after that, it really drops off. Only, I think it's less than 20% would do it after 4 days, and even lower again after a week, say. I have to refer to the report for the exact numbers. But yeah, you can really start to see a relationship between when somebody makes a purchase, the way you communicate the referral, and getting to them really quickly after that purchase.
That's great. I do love the idea of the two-sided referral reward, where both the original and the referee get points as a result of that, or the new customer sort of gets a running start with extra points as a result of the fact that a friend of theirs referred them in. It's sort of an instant bonus, if you will, for having had a friend that brought you into the brand. Have you found that customers who have bigger social media profiles outperform the average customer when it comes to the customer get a customer or friend get a friend programs?
That's really interesting. I'd have to look into that, to be honest. Certainly with our referral program, you can share a social media link. So I guess it would stand to reason, the more people you have, the more you can the more followers, etc., you can refer, but each of our referrals is a unique link to that one individual. So rather than it being a sort of a broadcast, it's more sending your unique link to your friends and family. Those are the people that are most likely to convert on your advice and your recommendation.
Right. Whenever I see points platforms of any kind, I always think about gamification best practices, and there are a lot of things one can do with gamification that further influence the psychology of the customer or the player in the case of a game. Have there been any elements of gamification that you've found have been effective, like leaderboards or levels that one can reach that people are aspirational about, that change their behavior?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we do have a couple of customers that have that leaderboard style approach. So, you can literally see what points other people have and where you compare. You know that if you actually just made 2 referrals, you might jump to the top of that leaderboard and you'll be the winner. You know that it definitely works really well and it drives that motivation. But I think you talked about levels and tiers is the thing that I would say is absolutely essential to creating that feeling of a game and gamification. And yes, points might still be the mechanism or the criteria that you need to move between the tiers, but I think the real gamification comes from motivating people to unlock the different rewards that exist in the tier above.
Right.
I'll talk you through my favorite example is Skinny Dip. They're a London brand and they have a program called Skinny Dip Airlines, and it ties in so nicely with the products they sell and their brand and everything. But essentially their first level, I think it's called check-in, that gives you access to discount codes when you spend a certain amount. I think you get double points days and you can enter exclusive competitions. But then once you pass a certain points threshold, you move into the next tier. You get the opportunity to use your points to buy additional products and that kind of thing. But then when you get into the higher tiers, it starts to get really exciting. You get things like free delivery days. You get that early access to sales that we were talking through earlier. I think a greater product range and also an exclusive invites to their events and things like that. So you can it's all laid out beautifully on their loyalty program page. You can see exactly what you have to do to unlock the next tier. You can see why it's worth your while unlocking the next tier. And then when you log in, you can see how far away you are and what you still need to do to get there. So it's a really nicely tied together tier approach.
Do you have any research on sort of how loyalty points in general or your platform specifically change share of wallet for a category that's competitive, where people are shifting more of their buying behavior, where they may be indifferent to 2 different brands, but as a result of the loyalty program, the share of wallet has moved towards your customer, your brand's purchasing?
I have to be honest, I don't off the top of my head. I know that I'd have to dig out the numbers, but I know that research we've done in the past say that people are far more likely to buy from brands that they are part of the loyalty program. And the tiers are one of the things that they say will motivate them to be loyal and to keep making those purchases. I would have to dig around for some more specific numbers on share of wallet.
Right. I'm just curious if you had any at your disposal. Obviously, brand advocacy is one element. We talked about, certainly with referring your friends, you're becoming a brand advocate. Are there any best practices around creating communities outside of the dashboard where people sort of participate in brand advocacy, within a separate community, either on a particular social media platform or within any other platform where they can sort of be part of a community?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, community is one of my favorite topics. I genuinely think if you have an engaged customer community, you've got one of the most powerful assets that an e-commerce brand can have. But that said, it's quite hard to do. And we did we did some research last year, I think it was, and we found that less than 15% of a typical e-commerce store's customer base are what we would call insiders, those really, really committed people who will be advocates and really take every positive action that you would like them to. But the good news was around about 50% are in the category below, so not far off being moved across. But we know that community mechanism is really, really hard to deliver. And, we would all like to be Sephora with a standalone community platform, millions of members, thousands of open discussions, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I think my advice is go back to that question of, well, where are my customers existing? Where are my customers interacting right now? And if they're regularly on Facebook, then a Facebook community is probably the right place to start. And we've seen some brands do really great things there. I think it's Never Fully Dressed is one of our clients, and they drive really fantastic engagement. Their customers are literally speaking for themselves on that platform. I think if your product is based slightly more on usage than consumption, and I'm talking things like bikes there, so things that people love to talk about, they love to compare notes, they keep it for a long time, they build on it, then you might want to look for a forum app in the App Store or something like that. And that could be a quick win, because you're just giving your customers a space where they can compare notes, ask questions of each other, and learn from each other as well. But if your customers are much trendier than me, they might be on Instagram, they might be on TikTok. It really depends where they are. I think there are lots of different ways to create those communities outside of your own store. And that's actually a lot of merit to doing it outside of your own store as well, because you're more likely to engage people there that don't feel sold to, they feel talked to or listened to, they're engaging. And then when they do have something that they want to buy that perhaps they've seen on that community, they're going to come to you to do it. But I think the key is understanding where your community is already having a conversation and then trying to build on that, rather than trying to force a conversation to happen somewhere else.
Yeah, we were having an interesting conversation within my team at Did It, which is my agency, about community and brand strength and the extent to which they interact with each other. The original conversation was about, which of our clients should have merchandise, right, that is branded outside their core merchandise, right? So, for example, if it's a cosmetics brand, should you have the opportunity to buy their hoodie? Should you have the opportunity to either earn their hoodie or earn their t-shirt or whatever, get access to merch? Because, of course, merch turns that individual into a walking billboard, right? Because they love the brand so much that they're willing to wear the merch. And then we were starting to think about, well, what are the tiers above merch, like where a person's loves the brand so much they'll take it even beyond merch. And we came up with our ultimate example of a brand advocate, which is people who get the Harley Davidson tattooed on their body. Right? At that point, how much stronger of a brand advocate could you ask for than the person inked themselves with your logo, right? And so there's a continuum from they might wear the t-shirt if you sent it to them to they'll tattoo your brand on their body. And so we were thinking about what it takes to get, to ratchet up the love of the brand from, oh yeah, I'll wear the t-shirt when I'm at the gym, to, oh yeah, I would tattoo the brand on my body. And there's no clear pathway, right? Because there's only really a few brands that people will get tats of.
True. I mean, but I bet there's a load of people with tattoos that brands don't know about, and that could be a real social media competition or something.
Exactly. But
I do think it's really interesting though, because the other thing is those people that really love your brand, you can create that at any level if you get people involved in your story. If you use that community to really communicate who you are, what you believe in, why you exist as a brand, your founder's story, with I can't remember the name of the brand, but there's a cosmetics brand where the founder is really active on the Facebook community and always responding. And I think the other thing, it's an open feedback channel. Get your community to vote on what products they want you to create next, what products they want you to continue or discontinue. If you can get that open feedback loop from your community, they feel involved, they feel part of your brand story. And then, I can't guarantee a tattoo, but that's when, if they feel part of the journey, that's when they're really going to start taking that one step further.
That's a great point. Sometimes marketers conflate their loyalty programs and their influencer programs and their affiliate marketing programs together, but it seems like that they may overlap in a Venn diagram, but there's sort of similarities and differences. So how should a marketer think differently about loyalty programs than they do about influencer marketing programs or brand advocacy programs?
It's a really great question. I think one of my biggest frustrations around loyalty is that so many people miss the connection between retention and the wider marketing activity that they're doing. They see it as totally separate. and it doesn't have to be. It can be something that's driving more revenue from other channels you're running. So for me, a loyalty program is similar to influencer or affiliate marketing in that it's definitely a brand play, it's a brand exercise, but it's enormously different because it's not about picking up new customers or driving acquisition. It's about driving greater return from the customers that you already have. And I think given that it's a lot more cost effective to drive more purchases from an existing customer than it is to get somebody to shop for the first time, you're likely to see a greater ROI from loyalty and potentially a faster conversion as well. But what I'd love to see brands doing more of is looking at it as one thing, using their loyalty program to drive other activities like influencer marketing. If you're already getting someone to try your products and report back on them, why not ask them to join your loyalty program and talk about that to their fans as well? They could mention how many points they earned. They could mention how easy the sign-up process was. They could mention the great rewards they're getting. And I think everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are missing an opportunity to really expand the reach of their loyalty initiatives by incorporating them into other things exactly like influencer marketing.
That's a really great point. Are there any upcoming changes either to your platform or just things happening in the industry over the next year that you're super excited about? So, what are you jazzed about for the next year?
I think for me, it's there's a few things that I'm finding really exciting at the moment. The first is obviously the cookie apocalypse. Not exciting on its own, terrible for marketers. But what are brands going to do about it? How are we all going to respond to people saying, no, you can't have our data? And I think I'm really excited to see how brands start to use things like loyalty programs to give people a reason to still share their data. Points and rewards won't be enough. You'll need to really prove through your program that you're giving experiences, that you're connecting with values and all that kind of thing to make somebody share their data. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how that personalization plays out. I think conscious consumerism is going to continue to grow, and brands won't be able to change their operations overnight. You won't be able to just become sustainable at the click of a finger. So again, what will they be able to do through their loyalty programs? How will they be able to demonstrate that they support particular initiatives or that they are making a move in the right direction? And I think that again will just really help with the long-term relationship play. And then I think, the other thing, the supply chain issues, returns issues, they're not going away. Returns are going to continue to cost merchants a lot of money. So really, how are they going to respond to that? I'm excited to see what initiatives people will come up with. You've already got curbside pickup. You've got people offering that pickup or collections, returns collections to their most valuable members. I'm excited to see what other things people come up with to keep that really going strong. And again, how they make sure that it's profitable by relying on their most valuable customers as opposed to every customer.
Yeah, I really loved your point about the fact that loyalty programs make the quid pro quo of data exchange overt, right? In other words, there's a clear benefit in exchange for information, for permission and for information exchange, right? Yeah. Whereas when it's done behind the scenes covertly by brands, that is what has caused essentially the cookie apocalypse. Even though Google has sort of kicked their can on Chrome down the road, the reality is that in Safari and within mobile devices, we're already at cookie apocalypse, right? So brands shouldn't think they have a reprieve because the Chrome cookie will retain, third-party cookie will be around for a while longer. So they should absolutely start planning now about how to take the information exchange, create a quid pro quo around it, and make it valuable to the consumer to share, to engage with data sharing.
Absolutely. And then, how else can you, rather than just asking for someone's email address or adding another form to a field, you could be using quizzes, you could be using progressive profiling. We've got a pet food brand, and when you sign up to the loyalty program, you get extra points if you complete your pet profile, and things like what's your pet's dietary requirements and things like that. There's a lot of really innovative things you could be doing, and I think as much as we all love an easy life, it's no bad thing when we marketers are pushed to be a bit more creative.
Have any of your customers used points as part of a contest or a sweepstakes?
Yeah, absolutely. We see that a good amount. And I love competitions. I think they're such a good marketing tool, particularly for consumer brands. I think, yeah, I would, again, I'd need to have a look, but on our Pinterest board, I'm pretty sure there's a section with the contests and quizzes and things like caption competitions, submit a caption and you'll get the points, and then the winner is obviously getting a better prize. And things like being able to track the use of a hashtag make that kind of thing a lot easier.
Is there a mechanism for creating sort of a doubling of points for a specific day or a specific behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. So double point stays, highly recommend, particularly around kind of obviously Black Friday or follow up to Black Friday. Actually, you can do bonus points on particular collections or particular product lines. You can do double point stays, triple point stays. Can really be configured as you wish, what suits your brand.
That's great. I can imagine brainstorming sessions going on for hours as people think about all the different ways one could deploy the points effectively.
But it works. It's amazing. We all default to discounts as the thing that customers want. And as I said earlier, yes, they want it. They always will. But double point saves, triple point saves, they go a long way to keeping customers engaged.
Great. Well, thanks so much for sharing the history of the platform and the best practices in using loyalty and rewards points to drive consumer stickiness and drive new customer acquisition. That was really fun.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.